3.26 ERA, 3.56 expected, 1.20 WHIP. This is by far his best season in his 3 years. And he's been very good. Ground ball rate, 95th percentile, I think, is a major part of that, because we have seen, even though it's not really a home run hitting ballpark, the ball does fly pretty well here. Barrel rate, 70% to go along with that. But his numbers, his average exit velocity, 23rd percentile, chase 23rd, throws 5 pitches, and none of them are a fastball. He's throwing sinker, slider, cutter, curve, change. I like that. That's a nice pitching matchup for me. You like to see the guys who don't have a dominant fastball, and his is about, league average when he throws it. Sinker's 93.8, which is about league average, but he's been very good in that. Milwaukee as a whole, I think, I kind of disagree with you yesterday, but I could see going either way. These are the two best teams in this division, and it's going to go down to the wire. This is Tuesday. The trade deadline is Thursday, so it's going to be a little rough sledding for me. It's hard to put big numbers on big play numbers on games in which you don't know if the guys are going to be there when the game is played. So it's kind of, I at this time of year around the trade deadline, I always cut back on my plays a little bit. Normally I'd have a play here on Milwaukee, slight lean on Milwaukee. I probably won't get there.
Yeah, guys, it's $5 Tuesday. All of us are probably going to have a play out. I already have one. Grab our plays, and we usually put free plays up too. Wager Talk keeps track of how many free plays we put up. We all do it all the time. Go check our free plays, even if you have a couple seconds. So on this one, everyone's in love with Priester, and admittedly, he's having a great run here. He's having a lot of quality starts running in a row, but these Cubs batters have gotten to him in his past. So this game comes down to whether he's going to perform against the Cubs like he has in the past, or if he's going to be better than he has been in the past. So far this season, he's been better than he has been in the past, like Bryan pointed out. So are the Cubs going to get to him or not? That's the question. And if you look at how he's performed against these Cubs in his career, they have absolutely whacked him around hard. Only 30 at-bats against. So how much credence do you put into the sample size? But a 367 average against and a 1,124 OPS against is not what you want to see. I would either go with the Cubs team total over, or I would take maybe Seiya Suzuki to get a hit run RBI over 1.5, because he's the one that's been doing the damage against Priester. 3 for 5 with a home run. The sample size is a little small to put a huge bet on it, but if I'm going to go anyway, those would be the two ways I would go. So
Roger Long, I'm going to bring his comment up. He kind of my head went to kind of what he's saying. He's saying Cubs rarely lose 2 in a row. Now they will lose 2 in a row, but yeah, I think there's some merit to thinking that, okay, they lost yesterday. Maybe they come out a little bit more focused here. Tokyo Brandon, you make a good point. Quinn Priester came up in the Pirates organization. So the Cubs probably saw their share of him, whether it be at the AAA level or, during his time with the Pirates, before he got back with the Brewers. Now, I think when it comes to Priester, you really have to acknowledge that the Pirates always kind of did him a disservice, in my opinion, when they would call him up. And if you remember going back a couple of years, the majority of his MLB service time with the Pirates was the second half of the year, where they kind of sold everyone and they pretty much just abandoned the season. That was a really bad Pirates team for the last 2 months of that year. I think it was maybe 2023. And then the Red Sox organization just, they really never, they kind of just sent him to Worcester. I think Bryan's brought up the Red Sox kind of wanting pitchers to have a certain profile of, they all want, the Red Sox want all their pitchers to have similar pitchers. And I just don't think that ever worked with Priester. So if you go back to, I think it was May, I said on this show, I was I think this is a terrible scenario for the Brewers. I think Priester's going to get bombed. They're going to have to send him back to AAA and do what they do, because we know the Brewers do a great job with pitching. They're great at tweaking things with pitchers and developing pitching. Just look at the homegrown talent they've developed over the years. I think they've been able to do it with Priester at the big league level. You know, like he comes in and those first couple starts a little bit shaky, but since he's been awesome. And the only thing keeping me off the Brewers here is my personal feeling of not wanting to be reactive. Like, that's literally it. I just have a problem with like being reactive in the sense where it's like, yesterday I liked the Cubs, watched the game. And as I'm watching the game, I'm like, shit, like I'm probably wrong about this. It might be the other way around. It might be the Brewers, the Cubs trying to chase the Brewers down over the next couple of months. That was the feeling I was getting when I was watching that game with the Brewers taking that lead, knowing that Colin Rea was going to pitch for the Cubs today, because he's not a guy I want to back at all. So Brewers did have some bullpen usage. That's a little bit of a concern. Ultimately, a very good matchup. I lean Brewers as well, and I just don't want to be the reactive guy, which is why I'm not going to touch it. But it's going to be a great game for sure. And I'm starting to I'm going to backtrack, Bryan, on my comments yesterday. I don't think the Cubs are running away with this. I think you're right. I think this is coming down to the absolute wire in the NL Central. All right, let's continue on. We've got a full slate today. I'm going to go grab one from the chat. Let's go to Smokey. He wants to know, what do you guys think about this, guys? Philly. Okay, so he's got two different games here. I'm going to start with the first one because I can't pass up a chance to talk about my Chicago White Sox, who just continue to exceed expectations and play great ball in the second half. They did yesterday. Bryan, what was the final score of that game? I think they won it relatively easily. I didn't watch much of it. Yeah, 6-2. 6-2 White Sox. Another outright win as a dog. They're home again today. It's Luzardo. It's Tokyo Brandon's guy. Jesus on the mound for the Phillies. Jonathan Cannon for the White Sox. Can this continue today for the White Sox, Bryan Leonard? How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, when I'm looking over the card, I think there's 4 or 5 games in which the favorite is way too high in these games, and this is one of them. Luzardo, a lefty, going against the Cubs. Now the White Sox, over the last 30 days or so, the Chicago White Sox are third in Major League Baseball WRC plus versus lefties, right behind Colorado and Minnesota. In fact, I think that may be the last 14 days, come to think of it. But yes, last 14 days, excuse me. So they've done very well against lefties as of late, and this team's playing pretty good ball. You look at Colorado, you look at the White Sox on the season, they're now with a differential in runs of 67, which puts them right there with the Angels, puts them better than Baltimore, puts them slightly worse than the Marlins. So they're playing some pretty good ball right now, and I'm not very impressed with Jesus Luzardo. He started the year very well. He hasn't really struggled lately. He's got the 8-5 record, but he's got that 4.58 ERA, 3.76 expected. So he's had a little bit of bad luck, but 1.43 whip. Strikeout minus walk ratio very good at 18.9, but a lot of that was earlier in the season. His extension is only the 7th percentile. He's only 6 foot, so you got plenty of time to check out that four-seamer. It's better than league average, and especially as a lefty, 96.5, league average 93.1, throws 5 pitches. His four-seamer only throws 35% of the time, but it is his pitch he throws the most. Whiff rate, very good. Strikeout rate, chase rate on the season, very good, but he's not in good form as of right now. Jonathan Cannon, 4.48 ERA, very similar. 4.90 expected, 1.40 whip. All you see is blue on his account on StatCast. So I see two teams that should have some offensive success here. With the White Sox, the current line right now is Luzardo about 190, 8.5 to the over 25 or 9 out there. I think the White Sox team total in this game is something we could probably use here. Either the team total over 3.5. You're getting basically even money on it. It's minus 120 to minus 125 to the under. That would be the way I would play this one, or I would take the White Sox plus the 1.5. I don't trust Luzardo here, and as I pointed out, that Chicago's really playing well lately against lefties and young teams with confidence. We've seen that with the A's. That was a bad scheduling spot for them yesterday, and the offense struggled. But these teams come to play every night now, and even Colorado. I watched that entire game against Cleveland, and I will say I'll take a blame for that. But I can't take the blame for that because when we discussed the game, we did not know the Class A situation. Once that happened, and even they talked about it on the broadcast yesterday, how shell-shocked the team was, I could see Cleveland going into a bit of a free fall here. I don't know if we're going to get that game today, but
it's the next game. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll save it for that then.
Oh, okay. So I have my starting pitcher rankings and my starting pitcher projections all up on my page at wagertalk.com, downloadable for free. And if you take a look at those, you'll see I have a conundrum here with Jesus. So I generally don't like to bet against Jesus, but something's wrong with Jesus here. He's not pitching quite like I expected him to. He's not pitching as well as he was with Miami. And if you take a look at my pitcher rankings, I have him ranked 20 out of all starting pitchers, which surprises me because if I look at my current form rankings, he ranks 20 out of 30 on a curve. So that puts him like somewhere around 150 out of 200 pitchers. So now I have one ranking that has him really high and one ranking that has him really low. So who's the real Jesus, right? So I don't know what to make out of this, but I do know that the White Sox are really surprising people, and they're hitting number 2 in all of Major League Baseball in my rankings for current form, where Philadelphia is hitting 3. So we got the number 2, number 3 current ranking hitting teams going. We got one bullpen with the White Sox that ranks very low at 20 out of 30. Philadelphia's is ranking 9, according to my rankings. And then we have 2 starting pitchers that aren't very good or aren't performing very well. I have them both ranked under 15 on a curve of 30. So I would go with an over as well here. The books really don't like the White Sox. But this is one of those games you have to cover the logo and cover the name and look at how they're performing. It would be White Sox. I like Bryan's where he went with that because I was kind of thinking the same way. You take the underdog and the team total over perhaps because Luzardo, his sample size against the White Sox not big enough to really make an evaluation on it, but he's not pitching very well. And I think the White Sox can get at least 2 runs on him. And they can probably get another 2 runs on that bullpen. That's the way I would go.
Yeah, I mean, if my handicap is going to be the same for this team every single day, I'll go back to that 90 game mark. My gut feeling, what I felt strongly about at the 90 game mark was this team is not going to lose 2/3 of their games the rest of the way, and it's just and Tokyo Brandon, you make a good point. Like the books still have to treat these teams off of like their full body of work to an extent. That's why I actually think you do as good as you do, sort of like leaning into the recency for certain things, because like this White Sox team over the last 30 days, what's your sort of what's the window you kind of like your sweet spot? Is it like a 30-day type sample? 30 days?
I use 7-day, 10-day, and 30-day, and then I weight them on a percentage. So 10-day is the highest percentage, and then 7 and 30 are kind of second and third.
Yeah. So like, let's just use your 30-day, 30 game sort of like ranking of the White Sox. That is a far more accurate ranking of what this team is than what the books are rating them as, which is a 39-68 team that has no chance. And this is such an important topic because if you can nail a team or two like this over the last 2 months of the season, it's probably going to make or break your season betting Major League Baseball, because in a week you're going to have teams that at the trade deadline, like there's going to be teams that not give up, but it becomes clear that they are not playoff teams. And
Diamondbacks.
sometimes the books just abandon them from a value standpoint. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're not out there trying to win games, or they're a quote unquote bad team at the time. I think that's what you're seeing with the White Sox. This is a very different roster than the one that was playing in April and May. They've got a lot of the guys that are probably next year's starters now up and playing. Kyle Teal, Cuero, Colson Montgomery. I mean, there's a laundry list of them. Chase Meadroth. I'm probably missing a few guys. Some of the pitchers, Grant Taylor. I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys that were not on this team for 2.5 months that are playing big parts for the White Sox right now. So I'll use that window again. Since the 90-game mark, they're 9-8. They've covered the +1.5, even more than that. And on a daily basis, you're getting +1.5 around even money, or you're getting plus money with the White Sox. I don't know how you do anything other than either continue to ride that or find a different game to bet. So White Sox +1.5 for me, or just pass. Like that's that.
You guys, before we move on, if you don't mind me asking a quick question, why do you think? Because I can't figure it out. Why do you think my overall pitcher rankings have Luzardo ranked 20, but my current form rankings have him ranked 150? Bryan,
he was really good early in the season, and he struggled as of late.
Well, and
okay,
Bryan, he had 2 starts back-to-back that were so horrifically bad. I think he gave up like 20 earned runs in 2 starts. And that's really going to skew stuff because they were like back-to-back. So that's probably, you almost have to probably throw the numbers out with him and try to pick it apart start by start, because those 2 starts are so weird. Out of the norm.
It's like Bailey Ober all the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
He'll have 4 great starts, and then he just gets completely blown away, and everybody thinks he sucks. Well, there's certain days that you don't have it, and that's the problem. That's the fault of the manager. If you see your guy doesn't have it, don't get him the hell out of there.
The crazy thing is he was so good with Miami. I thought in a new environment with a playoff bound team that he would just excel, but he didn't. Yeah, he's not.
I try to keep this show to betting actionable info, but rest in peace to Ryne Sandberg. I subconsciously chose Cubs and Phillies for the first 2 games. I wasn't even thinking about that, but Roger Long put that in the chat. He was a tad before my time. By the time I was like a young kid into baseball, 7, 8 years old, I think he was like just about starting to hang it up. Or he was getting toward the end of his career. But if you are a historian of the game, you know what an impact he made. So
he's one.
Does anyone have a quick good Ryne Sandberg story? You two probably.
When I was growing up, it's a situation where in the middle of the infielders, second base and shortstop were all defensive guys. You never had really good hitters. Toby Harrah came around at second base, was able to hit a little bit, and Ryne Sandberg was the National League equivalent, even better. And plus he played for the Cubs. And when I was growing up, they didn't have all the cable stations they had now. They had the Braves and the Cubs. And you were either a Braves fan or a Cubs fan along with your local team. So got to see a lot of Ryne Sandberg. The Cubs weren't very good at the time, but he was a hell of a player. Hell of a person from what I understand too.
Anyone who's over 50 can remember growing up in the 80s where the channel WGN, and this is when the Cubs didn't play at night, but WGN in the afternoon would just play Oprah and Cubs games. WGN was the Chicago station, but we got it in Arizona when I was growing up, and just Cubs were on all afternoon. Harry Carey, Andre Dawson, Ryne Sandberg. And I liked the Phillies back then. So yeah, it was just, those are my memories, but good stuff.
We will we'll move on again. Like I said, I don't get into the non-actionable stuff, but I guess this could be somewhat actionable. So Sean says, talk the Cleveland cheaters. I try to not get too caught up in like the off the field stuff, but Bryan Leonard, this might spill over into the results on the field. So I'm more concerned with just the Guardians in general. You kind of alluded to it in our last breakdown, that they could be a team that kind of tailspins here. And now I think they could potentially tailspin just regardless. And now you start to throw some of this off the field stuff into it. Yeah, that's not that's not a great setup for them. So talk your Guardians a little bit, maybe shed some insight on some of the stuff that we don't know, because I know you follow the team probably closer than anyone. And then let's get your opinion on Guardians Rockies.
Yeah, I was a shock to me, although it sounds like, from what I can tell, that they were both using the same group to bet with Ortiz and Head. They're both from the same area, and uh, I'm hoping at this point that it was the same group, because if they have two different groups that got to them, then baseball's and have some problems. To me, you shouldn't be able to bet on an individual pitch like that, and you can't in the United States. So you have to find certain ways to do it offshore, but there's a reason for that. And anybody can throw a bad pitch, and I'm not as worried. One of my friends says, he goes, "Now you don't know which games are fixed or not." And I go, "Well, they're not fixed. He threw one bad pitch at the beginning of the ninth inning, and you got to figure out what the odds are on your opening batter going 0-1 to 1-0. It's not that big of a difference. But still, if you're his teammate and you're automatically putting your team behind the barrel a little bit, that is a concern. And we've got Cleveland's always done very well with having a lot of players from that part of the country or that part of the world, and they've got a good reputation in that. Now we'll have to see what happens. If one of people to bet for is third baseman, the best player on the team. He took that cheap deal to stay in Cleveland. Now Cleveland's come out and said, "Okay, we're trading," and then they've got these guys going to be suspended, may never play in Major League Baseball again if this turns out. Yeah, it's not pretty, and unfortunately, as a Cleveland fan, it's tough to look forward to the Browns. So there's not much going on in Cleveland right now. But yeah, I don't really want any part of Cleveland in this game. Tanner Gordon's going for the Rockies. 3.13 ERA, 4.01 expected, 1.30 WHIP. Hasn't pitched a lot. He's only got 23 innings after 34 last year, but they have not been that pretty, and his numbers are not that great. So Cleveland, if they come to hit, they got a chance to hit against him. Logan Allen's a guy that I have a hard time with. 4.16 ERA, 4.44 expected, 1.37 WHIP. Strikeout to walk rate only 8.7. Not a good number. Hard hit rate, he's been kind of lucky. He's 81st percentile. Average exit velocity, 74th percentile. We got his barrel rates in the 25th percentile. Chase rate 7th. Fastball velocity 7th. His four-seamer uses 33% of the time, but he only throws 91 miles an hour. So no part of Cleveland here. Maybe Colorado team total over, something to that regard, especially when you take a look at what the Cleveland bullpen had to do yesterday. The closer, the supposed new closer, Smith, got bombed. He just didn't have it. He's hitting batters left and right. He just couldn't get a grip on the ball, and you could see that when he was pitching. Then they get a bunt, and then he throws the ball into the outfield. Just a nightmare day for the Indians, or excuse me, the Guardians. And but I think Colorado can have some success, and I'm never interested in Colorado Road Rockies, but that'd be the only way I go on this. There's no way Cleveland should be a $2 favorite in this game.
Absolutely no way, especially with a lot of people not being able to play for them. Last night, their bullpen just wrecked that game, and they're going to have some problems moving forward. Colton Gordon, he doesn't walk people. He's got a pretty good. I mean, he's got a great balls to walk rate or balls to strikeout ratio. Logan Allen doesn't, but I have both of these pitchers ranked 15 or worse on a curve of 30, and I've got the Rockies bullpen ranked 28 in current form. I know we've talked in shows previously where you guys said they do have some talented arms, but I don't think they've been utilizing them lately because current form, they're ranked pretty low. Both of these lineups top 10 currently. Now, that's current form. I realize that neither one of these lineups, talent-wise, are top 10 MLB lineups, but they're hitting pretty well. It's probably because they're playing against each other. So I like over 8.5 in this one. I haven't played it yet, but actually I'm thinking about putting it out right now because over 8.5, I mean, a 4-4 tie and you win. It definitely looks like one of those messy games. It's going to be like 9-5, just kind of ugly game. Looks like it to me. And the Rockies are hitting well, so I wouldn't argue with the team total there either.
I just want to point out they are hitting very well right now against lefties, but they haven't really seen many lefties. They only have 20 at bats the last 14 days. That could be a negative there, but yeah, young team. And by the way, this Warming guy that they brought up,
yeah,
I never heard of anybody with that name, even on the game they talked about that. But he has put a spark in this team. He's not a home run hitter in the minors, but yet he's got 3 home runs in like a week being up there in the majors. So interesting game.
He's not a home run hitter in the minors, but he's hit everything this year for Albuquerque. He just rakes. That dude is, and for whatever reason, again, like AAA is totally different. Like he only plays like 3-4 times a week in AAA, which is like kind of how the Rockies handle their AAA team. It's just everyone plays the same. It's a revolving door. Lineup's different every day, and so but he has been the best player for them at AAA pretty much this season, I would say, for most of the season. So no surprise that he's having some success because he's shown the ability to do it at AAA level. We'll see if he can sustain it. That's always been the problem with the Rockies, right? Like they've had a lot of guys that rip the cover off the ball at AAA. The Zach Veens, Jordan Beck. There's a laundry list of them, and they get to the big leagues and they struggle. So nice to see him off to a good start. Hopefully it continues. Tokyo Brandon, you might like the over even more. I don't know if you quickly looked at the pitchers. This is Tanner Gordon, not Colton Gordon, who is a far worse pitcher. So I don't know if you quickly scrolled your pitcher rankings, but Tanner Gordon can absolutely get bombed, and so can Logan Allen. So I won't put you off the over at all there, especially with some of the bullpen issues for both teams. The bullpen actually, well, no, I mean it's like that's why I wanted to point it out because like Colton Gordon has been pretty good. Tanner Gordon's a AAA pitcher. Like that's straight up. Like he's not a big league arm by any stretch of the imagination. That being said, I don't really think Logan Allen is either at this point. I mean, he's been better. He finds a way. But if you look at some of his underlying stuff, like it's not much better. So I can't put you off of the over. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go Rockies plus 1.5 for the parlay. The Guardians bullpen is in worse shape. And that's the one thing. If the Rockies somehow, one thing have been able to do okay is generate. They've come up with some decent bullpen arms. I'm not quite sure how they've been able to do that and not develop any of these clear talents that they have in the minors. But their bullpen's not horrible. It's a collection of guys that, you know, are all like, I think, trending toward being like decent relievers. They blow games every once in a while, but for the most part, the bullpen's been good enough, and you're getting a 1.5 with the road team. The other thing I want to point out with the Rockies is since the All-Star break, they just have a different energy about them. This Warren Schaefer, I think his name is. He's the interim manager, 40 years old. He's a younger guy, and if you turn Rockies games on and you watch the game, you watch the broadcast, it's a totally different vibe than that team in May and early June that was just like you thought you were watching Bad News Bears. Like it was just comedy. And now, I mean, let's see what they are since the break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 6-4 straight up since the All-Star break. And yeah, they got smoked. And if you look at their overall numbers, guys, I don't think it tells the full story because the losses are really bad. 18-0 to the Orioles, 7-1 to the Twins. So it's like, if you're just looking at their numbers, they're probably a little bit skewed. But if you go game by game, the effort has been pretty solid, and they've won 6 of 10. So I'm going to do it. Rockies plus 1.5 is my play for the parlay. I may have to play that. I don't know if I have the stones to add that to the client card, but it's definitely good enough for the parlay, in my opinion. So that is going to be my parlay leg. And we have 30 minutes left. We'll be locking 2 more in. I think what did we go? 2 and did we hit 2 out of 3 yesterday?
We did, and Brandon changed his mind on it. I don't remember. You had something to do with the Tampa game. Would you have won that?
I wanted the same game as you. I wanted the Yankees first 5 total Yankees under 4.5, which would have won, but I changed it because, well, at least I won it for my clients because I did put the Yankees team total out, which was easy money. I mean, they did nothing yesterday. So,
Yeah. How
but
about
anyway,
I would say that it wasn't the same bet as what I had. So it worked out yesterday. Just keep in mind that, if one of us gives out one way to play a game, I don't think there's a problem with somebody giving out a different way to play it.
Yeah,
No,
I just didn't want to do same game because it turns into a same game parlay and.
Yeah, and it's there are sites that won't let you do that. So I think we'll try to continue to keep 3 unique games in the parlay. But Bryan, great call on the Rays yesterday, and I got a point. So after the show, I did go shopped around. I got 5-1 on the Yankees to miss the playoffs, and I had viewers in that. So you guys did a great job in the comments yesterday. We very much appreciate that. So give us chime in the comments on the YouTube replay. Someone said they got plus 550. On that, which is outstanding. Yeah. And then of course they lost yesterday. So man, if you're sitting on 5-1 Yankees to miss the playoffs, that is, the more I think about that, the more I'm like, wow, that it's absolutely possible. And we may touch that game on that game later in the show, but I want to go to Michael in the chat. Michael Glowacki says, let's talk Reds Dodgers. Yeah, let's do that. This is a interesting matchup because you got a team, Bryan, in the Dodgers that theoretically should be the best team in the National League. And then I will call the Reds maybe the team with the most potential to go from where they are now to like being like a really, really good team. Tokyo Brandon talked about it earlier this year. I think he at one point said the Reds would finish with a better record than the Tigers. Listen, I don't think that comment is crazy. I don't think it's crazy, right?
You guys are killing me.
The Reds, no, it's gonna we'll frame this discussion around that. Like, it's a great illustration. You said that 2 months ago. We knew the Tigers would have a little bit of a lull. They did. The Reds are 56-51. They're only like 6 games behind them. I think the Reds have like the biggest upside of almost any team in the league right now. And so I'll start with you, Bryan. Like, how do you like? Are you going to get involved with this series? Dodgers, Reds, because it is a challenging handicap for that reason.
I agree with you on the Reds. I don't know if they'll have a better record than the Tigers at this point because of the way the Tigers have, but the Reds are a team. I'd have to take a look at what their remaining schedule is, but they're a team that I think we can make some money on. And Nick Lodolo is pitching very well, and they're about to get their best pitcher back from injury. So this is a team that has a bright future. And the Dodgers, once again, as I've mentioned a lot, they play in a division where they're going to get a big lead, so wins aren't that important for them. Glass now against Lodolo the lefty. Current line's about 150 on the Dodgers, total of 9. And my first glance on this game was Cincinnati. Glass now's a guy, when he's healthy, he's good. But, we've always got to worry about he's only thrown 8 starts this year, 2.75 ERA. 3.15 expected, 1.03 whip. He's 6'8". Extension is fantastic, 100th percentile. Throws his four-seamer 41% of the time, and it's about 1 mile an hour better than league average for right-handers. He throws his slider 22% of the time. So he's only basically a 4-pitch pitcher, 4-seam, slider, curve, and sinker. And when you only have 4 pitches, they've all got to be working for the most part, unless you've got a dominant fastball. And as I mentioned, it's good, but it's not dominant. His strikeout percentage is 93rd percentile. He can't get chases. So if you wait him out a little bit, you can have some success. He's in 2nd percentile in chase rate, 13th in walk rate. Strikeout minus walk ratio, 20.7, but the walk rate is still 11. So it's going to be when he's on the mound, there's a lot of balls that don't get hit into play, and either strikeouts or walks. But he's a good pitcher, and I like him. But in this situation right now, with the way the Reds are, with the talent that they have, I think they're a live dog here. Nick Lodolo comes in with a 3.09 ERA, 3.71 expected, 1.04 whip. Walk rate, 96th percentile. Chase rate, 87th. So he doesn't give up many walks. He only gives up 4.6 this season, which is almost 3 walks better than he was last year, and his strikeout rate 22.4. So he's at that 16 or a 17.8. So he's been very good in that regard. Also, he's about average in just about everything except for his chase percentage and his walk percentage, but that seems to work. His whip is far better than it has been. His career whip 1.21 is 1.04. I like the way he's pitching. He's always been a guy who has tried to blow you away. Well, this year his strikeout rate is a little bit, below average, 122 innings pitched, 112 strikeouts. He is going from a thrower to a pitcher, and it's happening right before our eyes, and he's doing so in a really good hitter's park. I've been very impressed by how these Reds have played at home from a pitching standpoint in this good hitting park in Cincinnati. I like Cincinnati here. It's one of the games I'm considering tonight, and that's to me a decent dog in the Reds tonight.
Can't argue with that. My rankings love Glasnow for some reason. I don't love him as much as my numbers do, but my numbers have him ranked 5th out of 30 on a curve of 30, where they got Lodolo ranked 10 on a curve of 30. But I honestly think Lodolo is playing better than Glasnow, in my opinion. And Glasnow doesn't have the greatest stats against these Reds in his career, and he just came back, so he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires this season yet. So yeah, it's hard to trust him, but my numbers love him for some reason. But what I do not love is that Dodger bullpen. Man, they're bad. But they did get Ryne back yesterday. He looked terrible, walked two hits. They took him out right away before he blew the game wide open, which was smart. Dave Roberts, the first smart move he's made in his managerial career. So that was nice to see. So they saved the game. And I got the Reds better at hitting, better in the bullpen. And I like Lodolo eye test better than I like Glasnow, although my numbers like Glasnow better. So I can't argue with Bryan. I think the Reds will, in a series, I think both of these teams are too good to get swept. So if the Reds are going to win one, it's going to be this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a challenging handicap because my numbers love Glasnow as well. I was trying to, tweak them to an extent because he was coming off of an injury, and I had to adjust for that. But if you've watched him pitch the last 2 times out, he does not look injured. Last time out against the Twins, 7 innings of 1-run ball, 12 strikeouts. I think he's probably fine. The start before that, 6 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. So now you have back-to-back starts for Glasnow against 2 pretty decent teams in the Brewers and the Twins. 13 innings, 18 Ks. He's not walking guys. He's not giving up any hits. So that is, to me, a tough profile to bet against. That being said, I'm very high on this Reds team. I think they have a ton of upside, and they're kind of one of those teams where they can get to a good pitcher like that. I always feel like the Reds should be able to do more than they do. They have so much team speed that they need to get better at manufacturing runs. It's almost like they should be able to get on base and get to third base. Like they should be able, if they get a base runner, that guy should be at third in some point in the inning, just based on the fact that they could probably steal second, and then maybe one of the outs gets them over to third. They should have so many chances with a guy on third that it's only should accumulate runs, and they some reason can't capitalize on that a lot of times, which is the frustrating thing when it comes to the Reds. So I'm with you guys. I think there's value on the Reds. Personally, I don't know if I can go against Glasnow here, but I really like this Reds team. Go ahead, Bryan. What were you going to say?
Yeah, 2 things. First of all, Smith for the Dodgers is having a great season on throwing out runners. That is something you have to take into account. If he's going to be in the lineup today, we don't know the lineups at this point. Also, in the Cincinnati bullpen, 2 of their best 3 relievers have pitched 3 of the last 4 days. So, and the middle relievers all pitched yesterday. All the lesser relievers pitched yesterday. So I'm less inclined to play them in the full game as opposed to maybe the first half.
Let me make one quick point about the Dodgers bullpen. I read an article where they interviewed all of the Dodgers hitters, and they asked him, who's got the best stuff on your team? Unanimously, they all said Blake Trinan, without a doubt. He's got the most nasty stuff on our team. So when he comes around, expect their bullpen to be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
He's not around yet. He showed that.
Yeah, no, Sean is right. I did say that. I did say that the Giants were going to be unequivocally better than the Tigers. It was like right around the time those two teams played, and I'm probably going to be wrong about that. But you know what? Can't win them all. We're just here to try to give out good info. Seamless says, hope you guys cover the Royals for me. We can do that. We'll do that right now. The Braves are TV. I think the Braves are like the version of like your down bad friend that really wants to be in a relationship where they're just like, they're going out on any date. Like they just so badly
Why
want
are
a
you dressing that
girlfriend.
to me?
Because I feel like you made a similar you made a similar comment the other day, and I just like,
oh, okay.
they signed Eric Fetty. They traded for Carlos Carrasco the other day. It's like they can't find pitching, and now they're just going out with the first thing that they can swipe right on for pitching at this point. It's comical to me because that's where this team is from a pitching standpoint. I saw someone, I forget, one of the guys I follow and I'm like friends with in the baseball space was like, they posted the trade, which was Carlos Carrasco for basically like just some cash. And someone put like Yankees fleeced that trade. Like, you know what I mean? Like the fact that they got a few dollars back for Carrasco was
to get anything.
This is where the Braves are at right now. So Eric Fetty gets DFA'd from the Cardinals, and he's going to make the start tonight against the Royals. So Brian Leonard, kick this one off. Braves Royals. Can Fetty get it going in a new spot, or is this just like grasping at straws here?
You know, it reminds me of the olden days that I've read about where a player would get traded for a bag of balls. Very similar in that regard. And I'm in full agreement with you. Where Fetty, yeah, he's not the same pitcher he was when he came back to the States. He's got a little more legitimacy than Cookie, and I love Carrasco. I hope the guy has with what he's had to battle through his entire life, and especially in the last 10 years, 20 years or something. I gave him all. I really hope he succeeds, but I just didn't understand how that would help them at all. Well, we'll see. Maybe they obviously know more than I am. They're owners of the baseball teams. In this one, we're going to take a look at the line Atlanta Fetty against Lugo for Kansas City, who they wrapped up yesterday. They gave him an extension. I don't know if that's good for us in this game. We'll have to see. But Fetty against Lugo, we've got Kansas City about a 120, 125 favorite, total of 9.5. The reason why I say it's not good is, to me, if a guy's playing for the Cardinals and the Cardinals are in sell mode and another team that's fighting for the playoffs wants you, I think that's a positive. If you're going against Kansas City, who's a guy who's looking to get paid, and he does get paid the day before you pitch, I don't know if you're going to get that same effort out of him. So that starts, I have to look at maybe the over between Atlanta and Kansas City, but it's 9.5, which is kind of high for a ballpark that doesn't give up a lot of home runs. I know the outfield is pretty big and it's hard to play, and they do give up a lot of hits, but Fetty comes in 5.22 ERA, 5.80 expected. Last year could have been a fluke, is he had a 3.30 ERA and then 5.81 in 2022 before he left the States. His extensions, 72nd percentile, is 6'4". Other than that, everything else is blue. He's in the bottom 10th percentile in expected ERA, expected batting average, whiff percent, and strike percent. He'll give up some damage pitching for the Braves in that ballpark, especially pretty good hitting ballpark in Atlanta. Seth Lugo comes in 2.95 ERA, 4.56 expected, and his expected ERA for the most part has been a little bit higher just about every year, the last 4 or 5 years, than his actual. You don't see any red on his account this year. 1.09 WHIP, walk rate 65th percentile. It doesn't walk a lot of batters. 7.3, which is about 1% better than league average. He hasn't had it this year, and yet his ERA is at 2.95. Does that mean he's a really good pitcher, or does that mean he's been getting lucky? Well, he's been in the league for 10 seasons now with a 3.33 ERA. That tells me he's a pretty good pitcher. So he wins ugly. And I think if he's going to win this one today, it's going to be ugly. I prefer the over in this game, even though it's at 9.5. I don't care for either one of these pitchers. And they do have some pretty good hitters now, and bringing over the outfielder from Arizona helped solidify the Kansas City outfield a little bit here. So I think both teams can have some success. I lean with the over 9.5 here.
Guys, it's $5 Tuesday. Go to our pages, Bryan, Adam, and I. We will all have something out and a free play as well, most likely. So go visit our pages and see what we got going. Take the 5 seconds. Go to this replay and leave a comment and tell Wager Talk how much you like the show. It means a lot to us, and it costs nothing. So getting on to this game. This is one of those games where you kind of got to cover the logos, because the Braves are the only team in all of Major League Baseball that rank 23 or worse in every category that I rank. So that's not good. So I mean, they have talent, which is really what perplexes you, is they have so much talent. But when things go downward, they just go downward until you fix it. And they're going downward right now for them, for the Diamondbacks, for the Tigers. They're teams that just go up and down. Everything's a wave. It's a marathon. So I don't like Atlanta at all here. And their bullpen's performing poorly. They're not hitting recently. And now they have Eric Fetty on the mound. I'm not a huge Fetty fan. He does have decent numbers against these batters in his career, but like Bryan pointed out, he was much better when he came back from Korea than he is this season, which was part of Adam and my argument the other day, because Adam said he came back and was shutting people down. He did have a good season when he came back for Korea. That's very true. So, but he's not having a good season this season. I kind of disagree with Bryan on the point that I like Seth Lugo quite a bit, actually, but my numbers don't. So it's kind of a conundrum there as well. But he really passes my eye test, but he doesn't pass the numbers test. He has great numbers against these Braves. So I don't see how you could back Fetty in this situation. If one of the guys on the panel is going to, I'd like to hear how, because there's no way I could. So it's Royals or nothing for me.
So the question I'm asking myself, and I'll throw it out to, if you have any opinions on this, like, has Fetty, has he just fallen off this much in that short period of time? Like that's what I can't really understand this, because so we'll go back to his KBO year. He wins the MVP of the league. It's very tough to do as a pitcher. And I know it's Korea. It's not even close to the caliber of league the MLB is.
Don't start.
But still, well, no, I mean, it's like he still had he still had a historic year in that league. It's still notable. It's still notable. The reason he did as well as he did was because he developed a sweeper, which he then came back, and the league really struggled to figure it out for the first half of the season last year, which is why he had as good of a year as he did. So then he gets traded to the Cardinals. My question is this, has the league, has the league figured him out so much where he went from bordering on an all-star caliber first half last year to just being a nothing pitcher? I almost like this move for him. Something about St. Louis might not have worked for him, because he was fantastic with the White Sox. He got to St. Louis. I thought, okay, maybe he's running out of steam going into the second half, but he really wasn't that bad for stretches for St. Louis. So then this year he just comes out and he just gets bombed. My gut tells me that he's going to be okay for the Braves. That's just what, I don't know what else to base that on other than I've been watching him for years, and I just don't, it's too much of a drop off to think that he can't maybe level out a little bit to be a productive member of the starting rotation. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come out and just be lights out, but I do think he can be a productive starting pitcher. Maybe it's just a change of scenery that he needed. So I don't want to bet against him here, but I don't know if I have a good enough reason to actually bet the Braves other than wanting to take a flyer on Fetty. So I'm going to probably pass this one, but that's just my thought process. Bryan, were you going to follow that up with something?
No. We're getting down to the last 10 minutes of the show. I want to give my parlay, which is a game we talked
go
about
ahead.
earlier.
We'll move to whatever games you want to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to do the White Sox team total over the 3.5. It's now up to like minus 115. It seems to be the over in that game seems to be getting hit while we're speaking. So get that in now as opposed to later. People are still recognizing what we all thought was there's value on the over there. So let's play the White Sox team total over 3, which is now minus 115.
TB, do you want to throw a game out there and give your parlay leg as well?
I don't know if my parlay is going to be in the very first game of the day. I don't know if it's worth spending time covering it. It's the game one of a doubleheader.
No, I want
one of
to.
the pitchers is not decided.
No, we got to cover it because the chat has been asking for it for the entire show. We've probably got the most chat requests for this game. The reason I haven't brought it up yet is because there's a lot of unknown when it comes to like the pitching in this series. So as far as I know we're going to see Eric Lauer at some point, and I know we're going to see Charlie Morton. I don't know if we know the pitchers that they're opposing yet. Go ahead,
yes.
Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Mine says that the pitcher in game one moment. Pitcher in game one for the Blue Jays is going to be Joe Boyle.
No.
Is that what you got? No?
No,
that's the wrong. He's not in.
Toronto's going with Lucas, a lefty, in a bullpen game against Morton, going for Baltimore.
Where did I get this information, I wonder?
So I don't know. You got to go off the Japanese version of our website and get on our own Odds Logic website because it's a great website, which now has props, by the way. Click on the game number. I had to check in with them the other day. Check out the game number. Like if you're looking for this Toronto game, click on 9/11, which is the game number, and it will give you the current props on that also. There's none on this game because they just released the starting pitcher. So, but
it's going to be Easton Lucas. That's game one starter is going to be Easton Lucas. We now know that as of 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't affect my parlay leg, so let me just put it out there. I got Toronto batting number 1 in Major League Baseball. They're going against Charlie Morton, who's been absolutely bombed by these batters in his career. He's been bombed by Guerrero. He's been bombed by Springer. He's been bombed by pretty much everyone in this lineup. And the Baltimore bullpen is not performing well at all. I got them in bottom 10 in Major League Baseball. I love the Toronto team total over 4.5. So that's going to be my leg. And again, if you can't get a team total, take Toronto on the money line. But the official play will be Toronto over 4.5. I think it's minus 105.
Right now, because of that happened, the only team totals out there are ESPN Bet and DraftKings. And so they're probably frozen because they didn't know who the pitcher was. So I would go for I would go for something other than that if because we really don't know what the team total is.
Yeah,
it's a play I already put out about an hour ago, but on my
who is the guy listed as the starting pitcher for Toronto?
It doesn't matter for the Toronto team total, though.
Yes, it does.
Their scoring has nothing to do with who starts for their.
So what you're saying is the site or whatever you're putting a team total out at Action. It's not forcing you to list a pitcher. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. But
we don't know what that number is because there's no team totals for either one of these games right now.
Right. So Bryan, I think what he's saying is this is interesting because I this is like the first time I'm even thinking about this. I think what TB is saying is he put out a team total that was offered prior to the pitching being announced. So
yes, because Charlie Morton was already decided, and whoever pitches for Toronto doesn't affect their hitting. But yeah, okay, I'll pick something else. I'll think about it while you talk.
What do you think? What do you think, Trig?
Well, people can't bet it.
I think so. Here's the thing: it's like weird timing because this just got announced. Like I think the Toronto team total. So wait a minute. he wants Toronto team total. That should be fine because we've known Morton is going to be the game one starter for. I don't know why we're worried about Lucas. He's talking about Toronto team total. We've known it's Charlie Morton for a while, so that shouldn't change.
But currently, there's no team total.
Everyone on our chat saying they can get it. So
can they?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, go ahead, chat.
Online service. Okay.
No, yeah. Throw a chat. Start throwing. What do you see the team total? Is it? I'm less concerned with the juice and more concerned with it. Is it like 4.5? Is that kind of what it is? Is that what I'm?
Turnbuckle Tommy is saying there is a team total.
Yeah, I think DraftKings has it back up. Hold on, I'm on DraftKings right now. We'll figure this out.
Okay.
I just pulled up DraftKings.
Sorry to throw a big wrench
into
everything.
It's all right. No, it's interesting because it's kind of like a quirky.
Sure.
Thing. Oh yeah. So
the game total will be affected, but Toronto's team total is not affected at all. Even if they put
DraftKings has it back, over 4.5 minus 125. Actually, this just went to minus 130. So we'll call it. So that's your play. Team total Jays game one. Over 4.5. I'm going to call it minus 130. And Bryan, can you give me the juice for Rockies and your White Sox team total over? Because I forgot to ask what.
The Colorado last when I did it after you picked it up, it was minus 112, and the White Sox team total over 3.5 is minus 115.
All right. So yeah, listen.
Everybody's saying DK has it. Okay, but. Yeah, it just happened. It'll eventually get there for all of us. But,
it'll be 4.5 because that's what it was before.
All right.
Yeah, I got confused for a second there too. The Toronto team total should not change because that's the one thing that's been sort of announced for this doubleheader is that Morton is starting the first game for the Orioles. That's been known. So yeah, you're right, TB. That shouldn't be affected at all. As far as the doubleheader is concerned, I will be looking for a way to probably play the Blue Jays at some point today. I'm gonna kind of dig a little bit more into Easton Lucas. I know he's been down at AAA and kind of bounce back and forth. But you're going to have Eric Lauer in the second game. I'll be very surprised. So knowing what the Orioles do against left-handed pitching, I would be really surprised if the Orioles are able to sweep this doubleheader. So I will probably look for a way in with the Jays. Where that comes, I'm not quite sure. But it's also contingent on who the Orioles use in game two, who I think that's the only unknown at this point is who the Orioles are going to start in game two. So interesting doubleheader. And I don't disagree with you at all, TB. The Jays should be able to get something off of Morton. All right.
So we've hit. I don't lose our parlay with the Blue Jays for the second day in the row.
If I normally wouldn't ask this, but since this is a day game, it starts in 2.5 hours. We do have a lot of people who watch the replay of the video. If they watch the replay of the video later and they can't get the third team, should they go with the two team?
Always.
Do you have something that is close to that if they wanted to play a 3-team?
No, I want to cut in because I think this is important. If you miss the early game, just go with a 2-teamer. I don't want to create a scenario where we win and you lose. And that's what throwing a different leg into the mix would be.
Gotcha.
It's fine. Just take the 3-teamer. I just ran it is plus 531. Just live with the fact that you might hit a 2-teamer for 300.
Yeah, exactly.
And hey, it's worked out earlier this year. It worked out where if you missed the early game and came back and fired the 2-teamer, you won because we lost I think I lost that day, the early leg. And then Bryan and TB hit their legs later. So I would not mess with the parlay. I would just come back and do a 2-teamer if you missed the early game.
And it'll teach people to watch us live.
Yeah, get in before the game start. Exactly. So I'll read that.
Yeah, it's $5 Tuesday, guys.
Yeah. Let's promo that real quick again. As always, $5 Tuesday. Everyone's going to have a $5 play up for sale. So check that out on the website. It's a great deal considering what these are on a regular basis. You can basically get all of our plays today that are posted for less than what one pick normally would be. So a great special that Wager Talk runs, $5 Tuesday on everyone's page. The parlay, which I hope we can hit here, will start with Tokyo Brandon's game one team total Blue Jays over 4.5. We're then going to go with another team total, White Sox over 3.5 for Bryan Leonard. And then I am going to use the Colorado Rockies plus 1.5. That's plus 531 odds. And hopefully we can get that and get the parlay going in the right direction. Had a good week on the parlays last week. And let's get it going again today. Appreciate all of the people that tune into the live chat, everyone that tunes in on demand. We appreciate all the interaction, the likes, the subscribes to the channels, and of course the comments that you guys leave on a daily basis. All three of us try to hop in and answer them. So, you know, even if you want to ask something there, I try to circle back and answer anything that I can. It's a great spot to, you know, we're all looking at that. So if you got a question for one of us, throw it in the comments on the show, and there's a good likelihood that it will get answered. So yeah, what we've hit the end of the show. We've got a nice 3-teamer set for today. It is $5 Tuesday on the site, and we will be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the morning.